The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. Today we have a very special guest joining us. One of our favorites, actually, in the dog world. We've been trying to pin him down for a while, but he's a busy little man. We have Metcalf joining us from Oakland, California, and he does this super cool thing called Canine Circus School. But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day.
That's my cue.
Good oinking, baby. All right, my quirky tip is if you have not already seen his Instagram account or you don't already follow him on Instagram, I want you guys to check him out. It's canine_circus_school. It will be in the show notes as well, the description. But I want you guys to go over and check out what he does. Francis, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for coming.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your history in dogs and then also like the evolution of how you got here because you're doing something very unique and people freaking love it.
Well, you guys being Mainers, you might remember Andre the Seal, or at least have heard tale about him.
Do we have
I think I've heard that name before.
All right. Scott knows more than me.
Okay, well, you guys are new Mainers, I guess.
We're still feeling our oats out.
Okay, yeah. So for us original Mainers, there was a seal called Andre, and there was a movie about him, and his trainer, Harry Goodrich, was my next-door neighbor in Rockport, Maine, where I grew up, at least partially, and then I moved to Portland. But, watching Andre do his shows and collecting money from the tourists at the harbor kind of got me thinking about training and animals and, critters jumping through hoops and balancing balls on their heads and stuff like that.
Cool. Awesome. And you are teaching classes like in present day. Are you still doing tours and like seminars throughout the country with this, or are you mostly more centralized in California?
I'm mostly doing stuff in California. I just did a seminar locally. But I'm going to pivot to some more seminars soon here. As our weather patterns are shifting and our classes are outside and stuff is being canceled all the time. So, we got to evolve as we go.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I know with the weather out there. It was a drought for 10 years, and then you get torrential downpours. Everything's washing away.
Yeah. And we started the class in the drought, the 10 years of drought.
Right.
And so I got used to that. So now things are changing. So we have to adapt.
When you saw Andre the Seal, because I think they made a movie about that whole thing too. But how old were you when you were seeing that? You were a teenager, I'm assuming, right?
No, I was in middle school.
Yeah, so you're a young kid. And then I know that you really love trick training. That's always been your forte. But you're also an incredible trainer when it comes to protection dogs and all aspects of training. But I think it's my understanding that you found what you really always gravitate towards is the trick training. You love these really intricate tricks with dogs and doing really cool stuff, Well,
I mean, I kind of view it like everything's a trick.
Yeah.
I do love trick training. I do consider myself a traditional trainer. I don't throw out the baby with the bathwater when it comes to new methods versus older methods. I like to use full feedback. So I mean, in this world today where the dog training community is all siloed up and everyone's in a camp. What I like to say is that everyone's a little bit right.
Sure.
All the camps are a little bit right. There's a time to use positive reinforcement. There's a time for corrections. There's a time for the e-collar and there's a time for the long line.
Right.
And So yeah, I love trick training, but what I really like is good training.
We need all those camps to come together and sing Kumbaya. Then we'd be all set in dogs. But that's what we're waiting for. Since Scott
I agree with
mentioned,
you.
since Scott mentioned the protection stuff, I just want to touch on it a bit because you were kind of like one of the forefathers of Mondio in this country. Is that my understanding? Am I right with that?
Certainly one of the earliest people in that activity in the United States, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, I was very interested in Mondio when I first saw it, and it was in its fledgling stages here in the U.S. But guys like Bob Dixon of Mainly Ring Club
Yeah.
was actually at Tournai, or he had a chance to go to Tournai, where they actually kind of invented Mondio, the first Mondio championship, I guess.
It's kind of like the protection circus a little bit.
Yeah. But I mean, I think I was an early adopter of ring sport and Malinois. Back when everything was Schutzhund and German Shepherds.
Yeah.
I was very much into the French ring first. And Mondio ring, is proofing for French ring, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's its own thing, and it's completely its own discipline, and people focus on that. But it was always a way to stretch the capabilities of a dog that made it all the way up to ring 3.
Yeah, I was very fortunate to be able to train with Bob Dixon for a few years before he passed away, which was just maybe, 2 years ago now?
Pretty recently, yeah.
But yeah, that guy had a club going continuously for like 40 years.
Plus,
he was one of the first guys out there.
Yeah. So you're still getting in the suit. You said you just got out of the suit. Do you do a lot of protection dogs within your business still?
I do ring sport coaching.
Okay, nice.
So I don't run a club anymore, but people come to me to solve problems.
Okay. So you're focusing mostly on ring, not doing any like personal protection or anything else. If they want to compete in ring sport, you're kind of helping them see the way?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, to me, ring sport, I mean, it's a sport, but it's also, a safe form of personal protection.
Yeah.
So if people wanted to do personal protection, they would have to commit to knowing a little bit more.
Yeah.
Besides just like carjackings or whatever they might want to hire me to get bit to do. I mean, I want them to be a good handler and a good trainer.
Yeah,
Sure.
no, I appreciate your maturity there.
So how old were you when you went to France for that first time, when you brought back that little crazy puppy that Salamini wound up with?
I was in my 20s, mid 20s, I guess. And
You got was that when you got certified over there? I think you got certified as a decoy there, right?
Yeah, I did my Mondio certification in France.
Yeah.
To be a decoy, and I had, I basically was like a guy with a pit bull and a skateboard, and wanting to be a dog trainer. And I went. I saw. This was before the internet. I saw a little ad in the back of a paper that said French working dogs. Just a little teeny, just a few little lines of text buried in the back of a paper. And I was living in Chicago at the time, and I caught a ride out to this kennel where they were having a French ring trial, and I saw the Malinois but this is back when they had to dig pits for the jumps and all that kind of stuff. And I was fascinated. And I was fascinated that the dogs looked, what we think of as typically French, like kind of flat, but then would do things, that they looked natural, like they just walked out of the woods or something, and they knew how to do all this stuff, and they were these wild-looking dogs. And at that point, I found someone that could, supply me with a Malinois pup, and my first suit and some lessons in the suit. then from there, I packed up my bags and I moved out to LA.
Yeah, it's all history from there. And you've been with Malinois and Suits ever since. I think when we were there, was it Balzac? Was that the Malinois name?
Yeah, that's
So
the latest one.
Yeah. So do you currently own a lot of Mals still, or what do you have for dogs personally?
Well, Balzac is like 16 now or something.
Hey, kudos to you. That you have a 16-year-old Mal. I'm very impressed.
No kidding.
Yeah, still annoying.
So I remember when I went out to France almost 20 years ago and stayed at a few of those different clubs. I stayed at Danny Mason's house, and I brought up your name to Danny, and he goes, "Oh, Francis is a very special person, very special." He was talking about he had this German Shepherd that like hated everybody, and you came over to his house and you were fucking loving all over the dog, and the dog was all excited about you, and he couldn't believe it. He goes, "This dog hates everybody." So it was neat that you had a relationship with his dog really quick. He was very impressed,
Yeah, I learned so much from Danny and staying with him for that summer and going all over France and collecting dogs to sell to the military and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was a great learning experience for me.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so let's get back to this circus school stuff, because if anybody, there's a lot of people out in California and they're always looking for something new. And I just love what you do. I love seeing the videos you put up. We loved when we visited and we saw you have this very special place and clubhouse and like backyard. It like transforms into this whole other world, kind of like Alice in Wonderland type of thing. So what kind of students do you have that normally want to enroll in this and kind of pursue this path with you? Like, what's kind of your student avatar, if you will?
I have all kinds of people from various walks of life that get interested in training their dogs to do more stuff. We definitely spread out. Over the years, we started as just trainers. It was only trainers coming. And then next thing you know, it was like a ripple effect happened, and it was other people in the dog industry and like groomers and vet techs and veterinarians and stuff like that. And then from there, it spread out to like ma and pa and everyone. So everyone. I think the people that we serve the most are people who are experiencing, or dogs that are experiencing confidence related issues and shyness and stuff like that. I think that's where we really shine.
Okay, so the tricks bring them out of their shell and kind of create better bonding with dog and owner and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and dogs too, from all walks of life. You have dogs of all breeds doing these kind of activities, right?
Yeah, we don't. It's not just border collies and cattle dogs and your typical trick dogs. It's everyone. The curriculum is built so they're tricks that everyone can do.
Yeah. I love it. And when you have gone and, brought this to other locations, you're saying maybe you'll go back to it. Everybody just soaks it up. Like they get super excited about it. They get super pumped about it. I know your energy is part of it, but it just brings a whole new flair because it's not even your traditional trick training. A lot of people will come in costumes and you have different props and it makes it all so much more fun and exciting, not only to watch, but also to train,
Absolutely. Really, as we developed as a class, it started from, just one-off tricks and developed into trick forms and trick routines, or like a martial arts school would have, starting forms that you would learn.
Right.
And from there, we formatted more and more and realized that the circular format with the cone in the center and working the dogs all facing each other in a ring created a really unique balancing opportunity for all the dogs, where dogs that were a little too bold would be sent out. One our starting form, they start from a platform and go around a cone, and in the center ring, and then come back to the platform and do various tricks. And it works in a round robin from there. So a dog that was too bold would want to go, to the other side and, of course, say hello to the other dogs, or, start a brawl or whatever they wanted to do. And dogs that were shy didn't want to go out into a group of dogs staring at them.
Yeah.
And it was a unique opportunity of a group of dogs that were all staying relatively still to get the bolder ones to come back and the shyer ones to go out.
Sure.
That's why you're the Master of Hounds.
So have you had, now is there any, I would assume there's some type of front evaluation before you're getting dogs into this class. I mean, if they're too off the hinges, are you able to deal with some pretty, let's say, reactive dogs fairly quickly through, they got to at least have some food drive there or something before you can get them into that situation.
What are the prerequisites? That's what he's trying to figure out.
Well, I don't put up a lot of prerequisites. Mm-hmm. People are allowed to come with whatever equipment they want to use.
Sure.
We don't do a lot of ball or tug reward because that would sort of slow down the class a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If the dog is having some control issues and needs whatever collar it needs, then it's welcome to wear that collar. If I feel like the dog is a danger or could use private lessons, I will just ask them to take their tuition and put it towards private lessons.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
But since I'm used to big, strong dogs, and I'm a traditional trainer, and I got eyes in the back of my head and good reflexes, I could run a class with some wild cards in it.
Sure.
Yeah. Not everybody, we're not suggesting everybody else do this, but Francis can handle it. What is your favorite trick that you've ever trained?
I mean, my favorite tricks are things that either very few people have trained before or tricks that are pretty new to dog training. Like in terms of the very few tricks or the very few people having nailed it, which like the handstand is one of my personal favorites. I love the handstand, the walking handstand. And in terms of tricks new to dog training, stuff like I have a trick I call bigger than, where the dog always picks the bigger object. So I put like 4 coins down, and one coin, the coins are in descending order, and I put them down randomly, and the dog has to always pick the bigger coin.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that one's a fun one. I love the rope hoist.
I was going to mention.
Yeah, that's Scott's
that
favorite. I was hoping.
That's cool.
Explain that, because Scott loves that one. He always gets excited about that.
So the Frank Inn, the trainer of Benji, as far as I know, he developed it, although it could have been in existence way longer than that. But basically, in one episode of the old TV show Benji, Benji like pulled a rope up to the roof, and tied to a basket, right? So basically, the dog is pulling the rope and stepping on the rope to hold it in place, and taking another bite of rope and pulling it up and stepping on it like that.
It's amazing to watch. Scott was always very impressed with that
one. Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of patience on the dog's part, and you got to, I'm sure in training it, you need to make sure they have a lot of success at every little step, otherwise I could see how they would get frustrated,
Yeah, I mean, basically, the more you can ensure that the dog succeeds by keeping, your steps pretty small and your rate of reinforcement pretty high, you can keep the frustration to a minimum.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
So when you moved to LA, that's when you were working in Burbank where you met Omar?
Yeah, right.
We had him on. He's crazy with his trick training and just constantly, like always new stuff all day long, train.
Yeah, he must be the hardest working dog trainer out there.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. From dawn till dusk, that guy, he trains every day, whether he has a gig or not, he's training. So we touched on the suit stuff. We touched on the circus stuff. You do pet dog training too, right? So for people who are listening out there that just need some basic help with, companion dog stuff, you're doing this as a service also, correct?
Yeah, I do private lessons and house calls.
Okay. So the link for Francis's website and his business information will be in the episode description for people who listen. But a lot of people out in that area need help, and you're still based in Oakland, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So you're, what was that, a half an hour from San Francisco?
It didn't seem like it was that far out of the city.
Yeah, it was. You were pretty close. We went out to
Right
see
over the
Francis
bridge.
when we hiked Yosemite, but we started in San Francisco first. So there's kind of been a lot of hype out there with this like San Francisco e-collar ban. Have you been involved in that at all? Or, I mean, I'm sure everybody's talking about it.
Yeah, I spoke at some of the city council meetings on the subject.
Okay. Well, we appreciate that. Good support.
So is that in place now, or did that get shut down, that ban?
No, I'm not exactly sure where it is. I mean, I think it's pretty much rubber stamped and it's coming.
Yeah.
But I don't think it is in effect.
Right.
I sort of haven't paid attention for a second here. But yeah, I spoke at some of the city council meetings on the subject, and it's a shame that people want to ban these very useful tools, and there's going to be a lot of dogs that can't be successfully trained, and people are going to be really frustrated. But if it happens and the ban goes through, I'm just going to send any of those problems that you would traditionally use an e-collar with to all militantly all positive people and let them deal with it.
Yeah.
Good luck.
For you. Good for you. I think that's a good method of dealing with it. So clearly your passion is dogs. Is there anything else that you want to impart on our listeners or viewers about dog training or circus dog training or just loving life? You're doing all kinds of crazy stuff now, like doing the splits on nails. I see you doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You're really into being your best self in all ways. Any other advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I mean, dogs are an ingredient in life, but they're not everything in life. And your dog should make your home a castle, and that's one of the hardest things. It doesn't matter if it has a bunch of trophies or it's just a good dog that works well with you. You should be able to enjoy the experience of the dog without having to worry about it all the time or enrich it to death. It's still a dog, and it's an amazing creature that we're so blessed to have these creatures to share our lives with, but they're not everything, so don't go crazy about dogs.
Yeah.
Just enjoy them. They're one ingredient in a good meal.
Yeah. And dogs enjoy being dogs. And dogs actually enjoy being dogs. People don't think that, but they like to just be dogs. It makes them feel better than being these like human, like these anthropomorphized humans. Anything else that we missed here?
Actually, I would just say, sorry to interrupt.
No,
please.
please.
I would just say, it's actually kind of sad when you get to be a good trainer and you start working sort of cognitive training methodologies and getting them, pushing them to the edge of their cognitive ability. It's a little sad to see that cliff where it falls off.
I agree.
and you can really develop a dog, and that's what I love to do is to spend my time developing a dog to be really smart and do all this stuff, but still be a dog. But I always have like a little tinge of sadness when I see like, okay, there's the line. Like this, they can learn a lot of stuff, but they're not going to learn that.
Yeah. And you can dress them up to do Canine Circus School. You don't have to dress them up to push them around in a stroller. You can still dress them up, but let's get them thinking and working. Anything else that we missed with Francis, honey?
Go ahead, Francis.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, dressing them up is just habituation to various stressors. Yeah. Whether someday they might have to wear the Elizabethan cone, or a muzzle or whatever like that. Dressing them up is just another form of toughening them up.
I agree.
Mental toughness. We're all about it.
I encourage my clients to start conditioning their dogs to a muzzle quite often. And they say, well, the dog's not aggressive. I say, I understand that. But they're not real comfortable with the muzzle. They should learn how to tolerate that because someday they may need it. They may be injured. They may need to. The safest thing for everyone is to pop a muzzle on them, and you don't want them freaking out over the muzzle itself.
Yeah. There's some cute costumes in Canine Circus School, though, too. You can wear tutus also. I want people to get encouraged.
I thought you might have your top hat today.
He just got out of the suit. He's too sweaty.
Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, what kind of, you working a French ring dog today? Or
I have a big black German Shepherd that training for Ring 1. And then I have a Malinois that's going for a brevet.
Cool. Exciting.
Do you have any young dogs that you're personally working with for that you own for ring, or because your old dog he's not slamming into decoys anymore, I'm sure.
No. I mean, he would, but he'd probably die.
Yeah, it's not in his best interest.
No. Yeah. My girlfriend has a couple dogs that are real nice.
Great.
And working them. You might have seen some pictures of a real stocky, thick boy. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the Mals.
I thought you were describing your girlfriend for a second. I was going to say,
no.
Don't start with them. These cigars, they make them crazy. Don't get them going.
So do you think you're going to do any ring seminars in the future? You think you might do a little protection seminars if someone wanted you to come out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think my days of rolling around on the ground, encouraging every dog to bite me are probably over.
Yeah.
But I try to cut through all the hype on the various methodologies and just stick to good technique, and good technique and good handling skills, and teach the classic stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
No, and thank you for still promoting it because it's a bit of a dying art in this country. And Francis is a very ethical protection trainer, and he knows what he's doing, and he's safe. It's so hard to find safe people in the suit these days. So thank you for keeping the ball rolling. We got Scott out of the suit for the most part, besides a defensive handler here or there. I got to keep him going strong. He's got to be going strong till 70. You have to come out and visit us. Come to Maine.
I'd love to.
Listen, you always got a place to stay if you're coming out.
Yeah, we got plenty of dogs. You can choose whatever breed you want to sleep with you. We got plenty of dogs. Thank you so much for your time. You guys, if you are in the area, please check out Francis and the services that he recommends. Again, his Instagram handle will be in the description. His website will be in the description. And if you haven't seen this guy before or you haven't been familiar with him before, please acquaint yourself. He is one of the best dog people in our country. We feel this way hands down. So thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Francis.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Good to see you.
Okay, bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.